So for a tech startup, typically at the end of the day, only 5% would survive. Only 5%. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Right? So what differentiates those that do and those that don't? And the answer is resilience. And I'm going to talk about that. And how do we build resilience? I mean, you can't teach resilience. You learn as you go along. And it's the drive that keeps you going. And you learn as you go along, right? So, but number one, I think the bigger thing is the biggest lesson I learned is setbacks serve to strengthen our resolve. In my journey, I went through, the company is now 10 years old. We went through almost 10 events that could have been the end of us. And guess what? I tell our team, like every single one of them, it's like you play games. This is the time that you meet your level boss. You kill your level boss, you go to the next level. So that's the only way that we can look at it positively. So every single one of this, the foundation of all of this is really about grit, determination, and consistency. Every single one that you all see on the screen, from quality delivery to scaling to technology, it has been a very, very tough journey. Sometimes I wonder why I got myself into this, right? But the answer to that is really the strength of conviction. The hunger to prove to the world, in our case, because we operate globally, we wanted to prove to the world as well that we, Malaysian company, can actually be at the forefront of this technology. So let me tell you a little bit, what is it that we do? A lot of people still do think that Aerodyne is a drone services company, but actually that's not what we do. We are all about digital transformation. We use drone data, we use our AI technology, data technology, to improve the performance of our customer. I call this, in Japanese, haya yasui omai hansen. Faster, better, cheaper, and safer. That's digital transformation. Anyway, we are here to talk about resiliency. You look at the big names out there. You look at even Elon Musk. You look at Tesla. 10 years into this business, it was a days to bankruptcy. And this is the richest guy on earth today. Same thing with NIO. Have you all heard of a car called NIO? They were the third largest in the world at some stage. They were listed on NASDAQ as well, but they ran out of money. Nobody was there to help them survive the winter. So at the end of the day, what saved them is one of the city council in China. Can you imagine that happening in Malaysia? So a city council, maybe Subang Jaya City Council, invested in them for $1 billion. And they returned it, I think it's rhymes over there, but it's actually $11 billion in the end, from a $1 billion investment that allowed them to survive. That's resiliency. Even Apple had to seek help from their own competitor, Microsoft, that enabled them to survive. Again, this just shows how difficult it is to run a technology company because you take risks. You're building new things, something that has never been done before. So you take risks. And this is actually being taught in the industry for us to not do. Taking risks is shunned upon, right? But entrepreneurs take risks. Anyway, lesson for me in building Aerodyne is that number one is the power of not knowing no. A lot of people around you will tell you, no, you're going to fail. This is not going to work. Don't believe them. Believe in your own conviction. And there's a lot of examples there. Look at this story. Professor, of course he's a professor now, or I don't know whether he's still alive, but George Danzig came into class like this, late, and he saw a formula or equation on the board. He said, okay, you write it down, and the class was ended because he came in late. Little did he know that that was a problem that has not been solved for 100 years. So he went back thinking that it's just a homework. So 3 days later, he submitted his solution to the problem. The power of not knowing no. Same thing with this little guy, the bee. Right? And the bee, physics will tell you that the bee cannot fly because the size of the body, the size of the wing is just too small. Science will tell you they can't. Luckily for the bee, they don't learn physics. So just happily fly, right? So So likewise for us as well. So I had this big dream in 2018. The company at this stage was already 5 years or so. I wanted to make Paradigm a global company. So I wrote it down. This is my mission. I still remember writing this in London on the 12th of August 2018. So that was going to be hatched through a global plan. It was almost an impossible dream because we didn't have the money. We didn't have the conviction. We didn't have the know-how, but we wanted to do it. But today, this is where we are. We have offices in 14 countries around the world, of operations in 35. Lesson number 3 is to think differently. Why? Oftentimes, we follow the norms. In our case, when it comes to drone, it's about doing solutions, fly drones and deliver the data. But we thought, hey, for this to be a lot more effective, it's really about providing the DX, digital transformation. So we had to reinvent things. We have to think about how do we provide this intelligence to our customer. So it's not easy. So we built a plethora of solutions from power line management to Dato management. Let me just talk about 1 or 2 of these. The center top. Imagine the magic of this, the magic of AI. Our drone would just fly around the tower, and within 5 minutes, our software, our platform, our AI would create an accurate digital twin of the tower, accurate to 5 centimeters. And not only that, it will do an audit of what's on the tower. It will look at structural integrity. So work that would have taken 3 or 4 days, we do that in 10 or 15 minutes. That's the power of innovation. That's the power of AI. I will not go through all of them. I'm sure I will share some of the magical ones. If you look at the bottom left-hand corner, what you are seeing, the red over there are just underground water movement. Something that we can't see with our naked eye. Using our technology, drone will be able to fly and then predict when the next erosion is going to happen. Can you imagine how much savings it has done for the industry? Likewise, bottom center, our technology enables us to look at the health of every single trees at the plantation. It's almost as human. I heard about Naluni just now. You have to go and see a specialist and check on you, do your MRI or whatever, then you know. So we can do the same to every single tree in thousands of hectares of plantation. We would know what is it deficient of. We know what kind of disease is being affected. The result of this is that we are able to increase yield by 20-30% for our customers, digital transformation. Okay? So same thing. So when I started the company, at that time, drones are only being used for the 2 extremes, either by hobbyists or take human life for the military use. So I thought, hey, I can use this for industrial application. So this, I was doing my MSc at that time. This is actually my thesis, my final thesis is my academic poster. But through, just like, I don't know, professor will not agree with this, after I completed my academic poster, I actually dished out. I think, okay, I can't wait anymore, I want to do my business. Okay, so anyway, going through any journey, any entrepreneurship, you always go through 3 different stages. Search stage, scale stage, and sales stage. Every step of this journey, you must have a different mindset in order to survive. And let me go into a little bit more detail. In the search stage, this is the startup stage. You don't know what's around the corner. You don't know whether you can survive 2 months. You don't know whether you can survive 6 months. Right? So you have to go in well prepared. You carry everything with you. Then you go, if you survive that stage, then you go to the scale stage. This is where teamwork is far more important. This is where about you working together. You need to have a team, someone to throw you the slack and pull you up. Same thing in the company. It's all about teamwork. Once you survive scale stage, all of this is about resilience. Once you survive scale stage, then you go to sales stage. What's the difference? Sales stage is like going through the deep ocean, where you're captaining a big ship, so it turns a lot slower, but you can weather any storm. So different mindset, different thinking, every step of the way. Lesson number 4 is that we need to have clarity of purpose. As we build an organization, everyone within the organization must have this clarity. How do you do this? How do you actually even build this clarity? It's not an easy thing. Okay. So for me, I actually wrote a formula. It sounds very scientific, but it's not. Let me explain to you what they are. Alpha is our formula for value creation. Because I want to have a mindset of everyone within my organization that has worked together about creating value. So Alpha is formula for value creation. DT3 is what we do. Growth tech, data tech, and digital transformation. WC is not what you think, it's different, it's world class. So there's 4 pillars for world class. Doing things right, DTR, the top line. Doing the right thing. SS is shape shifter, not size setter. Okay. Shape shifter, because innovation is everything. How do we keep changing all the time? And last but not least, every world-class organization have their own identity. I'm not sure about the university here, but I'm sure you have your own identity. Toyota cars, everybody knows it's the most reliable car. I still have my Fire from 12 years old, from 12 years ago. I can still drive it if I want to. It's so reliable. So what is it that I want my organization to be? My organization, my vision, my purpose is NFNDJD. No fuss, no drama, just deliver. It's a principle of customer centricity. Okay? And of course, doing everything is about being fair. So people, planet, and profit. So you divide that by that. And it's the power of continuous improvement. If you can do just 1% daily, so 1.01 to the power of 365, the answer is 37. Can you just imagine that? Just improve our performance. All of us in this room, imagine this. If we can improve our performance by just 1% daily, and that's achievable, by the way. You can ask British cycling team, that's what they did. British cycling team 100 years ago, the world champion, and they started losing it. Then they started to use this principle again as well, the power of small things. Improve ourselves by minute changes every single day, but do that consistently. Okay? So that's the Aerodyne way. Lesson number 5 is about reprogramming our mind. I did my research. I'm not an expert in this, and there's a lot more experts here. So I was going through YouTube, going through some papers that I can find. How do we reprogram our mind? Because a lot of the time, when I was having engagement with my team, a lot of time I realized it's a blocker that is intrinsic in our mind, society, for many other reasons. But breaking that mental block is the most important thing. So what I did was, I ran through this. I realized, but correct me if I'm wrong, Prof. So going through this, I realized there's this thing called RAS, Reticular Activating System, right? I don't know where it is, the video there. This RAS actually functions as a filter. Why? Because the brain doesn't have it here, but if I can recall correctly, the brain actually utilizes more than 20% of our energy budget daily. It's a huge amount of energy being taken. Because of that, the brain thinking how to be smart, they actually put in a filter. And the filter is actually at the RAS, the reticular activity system. So what happened? When we think we are thinking, we are not thinking. The information came in, RAS rejected. So we go into auto mode. Do you realize that? Sometimes when we drive, do we think? We don't take this auto mode as well. So a lot of the time we go through our life in the same auto mode as well. So we don't really think. So the trick that I've learned, maybe the medical person here needs to validate this, it's really about reprogramming RAS and make us superhuman. How do we do that? Right? Because by nature, we are not thinking, we go into auto mode. So we have to force and reprogram RAS so that we think and do more. How do we do that? Okay? Do you realize that if you just, for example, you just bought a new car, you go out there, you start seeing the same car on the road. Right? That's actually the confirmation bias that we see as well. And that's actually programmed by us. Reprogramming this enables us to do a whole lot more things. Okay? So that's what I've learned. And this is something that we spend a lot of time that would enable us to rethink how we do things at Aerodyne. What I've seen, I go a little bit more detail, although I will not go into detail here, then I can see that a lot of it are regulated by chemicals in our brain. And we can reprogram this. I'm just leaving it there for us to actually go in and study that as well. So one thing that really got me very excited, I was from MRSM. Anybody from MRSM here? I was in Einstein class, so today I'm still very close to keep thinking of Einstein all the time. And Einstein, there's a story about Einstein. He was doing a lecture at one of the university, I think it was Cambridge, at Cambridge. So after a session of him doing this lecture, and the student came to me, Professor, isn't this the same question that you asked me last year? You asked us last year. And he replied, yes, it's the same question, but the answers have changed. Okay? So that's the thinking that we must have as well, which is really about rethinking, being current about what it is that we are doing. And with that, thank you very much.
Thank you.